Hello and welcome to another knitting pod. I am Lena and I'm coming to you from Boulder, Colorado. This is a podcast where we talk about knitting and life and all sorts of things. I have to say I'm a little frazzled today. It's just been a really hectic week and I don't have a whole lot of time right now. But instead of not taping and hoping for better luck tomorrow, I'm just hitting record. So you guys, anything could happen. I'm not feeling super organized or mentally clear, but it is what it is. This has never been promised to be a perfect space, but it is a space where I have a lot of stuff to share with you today. So let's jump right in. We talk about the making first and then the crazy life later. So if you are here and up for it, let's do it. I have so much. It feels like it's been a month, not a week. I don't know why. There just is a lot that has happened, a lot of new projects and new stuff. So I don't know where to begin. Let's start with what I told you I was going to cast on because I did cast it on. Oh, no, let's try. I told you it's going to be a doozy. We're going to keep it together though. Let us start with what I am wearing. Y'all, it is finally done and off the blocking mats. This is the big rib sweater. I always want to say wide rib because I made that hat that was a wide rib. This is the big rib sweater by Jessie May of Jessie May Designs. If you have watched my past episodes, this was a struggle bus project. Toot, toot, beep, beep. We were on the struggle bus with this guy, but it is done. It doesn't matter what it looks like. It is complete. It is, as imperfect as I knew it would be in terms of the ribbing and the messiness of that. But I don't even care. Honestly, it is so comfortable and so soft. It's oversized. I made it 3/4 length sleeves. It's just not that exciting. There's not much to talk about. I feel like we talked about it so much. I do think it just turned out to be as wearable as I had hoped it would be. It is made out of the Melted Baby Suri alpaca by Ching Fiber, and the fabric is just, it's like butter, you guys. I mean, there is, when I say zero itchiness, I mean zero. It is just the most comfortable, wearable garment ever. It's not fussy. Like, I love this neckline. Like, if you can see, I don't usually like a crew neck, but this is wide enough to still be flattering on me. I have very broad shoulders and a very small bust, so I can look like a linebacker in a crew neck or a turtleneck. That's not the look I'm usually going for in my life. Super broad shoulders, but this, because there's enough space here, I think it's still flattering on. I've been wearing it all day and I told you guys last time, a total product knit, not a process knit, which is not my favorite. I, of course, would prefer to enjoy every stitch and then love it once it's off the needles, but that's not always how things go. You know what I mean? Sometimes we are just kind of mucking through the process. And like, if you've watched before, you know that this was yarn that had already been ripped out of one project. So there was no way in heck I was going to do it again. And of course, I have a ton left. It's like the yarn that never wants to be knit completely. And I know that that's a good thing because it's an expensive, beautiful yarn, and that means I can put it into something else. It's kind of a tricky quantity. I don't know if it'll be enough even to make a hat. And this is where I love Stephen West just because I love Stephen West, but this is where I love some of his projects are great for using up those valuable pieces of yarn that we don't necessarily know what to do with. But like I said, this is more of in scraps. This is like maybe 1 to 1 1/4 full skeins of Melted Baby Suri. So If you have any ideas or thoughts, let me know what you would do with it. I don't know. It'll find its way. It'll definitely not get wasted in my hands. So that is that. Like I said, I'm glad it's off the needles, and I'm glad it's as wearable as I thought it would be. So yeah, big rib sweater. Never gonna make that again. I can tell you that. All right. What is on my needles? I don't know why. This is like the 5th Jessie made pattern I feel like I've made in a row. But oh no. Oh, I'm just dropping stitches and kind of a hot mess today, y'all. That's okay. Here I go again. I'm doing it again. Now, this is the Open Edge Tee by Jessie May. It is a V-neck t-shirt. I think she recommended doing it in like a cotton. I think she used ritual dyes. Did she use ritual dyes? No, maybe she didn't. I don't know what she used, but I am using up some linen quill that I had in my stash. This is fingering weight yarn by Pearl Soho. It is a wool alpaca linen blended. It is just so beautiful. It's kind of squished up. I'm going to show you the colorway real quick in the bowl. You've seen it before. I made a ranunculus out of this. This is the Fresh Nutmeg colorway, which I just think suits this color, this as a name so well, right? It's so nutmeggy, and even like the dimension of, there's like some red and some like red and cooler taupey shades in the brown, and it has the, you know, that rustic fiber of the linen. It just reminds me of nutmeg. I think it's just so aptly named. What makes this such a special detail on here is this, what she has named it for is this open edge. I'm going to stretch it out a little bit so you can see. Can you see that? She is just so brilliant. I'm not sure you can see that with what's behind it. I don't know if you can see this. This detail, it just makes her such a brilliant designer. Like I said last time, she just has a knack for editing down and having that detail be so impactful. Like if this detail was then followed by other stuff, I think it would just get lost and be kind of muddy. This detail is made by knitting and then adding a double yarn over, and then in the next row you drop that double yarn over. And I never would have guessed that it would have created this weird and funky and cool elongated stitch, because it's almost like once you drop that double yarn over, that knit stitch that came before it has to suck it up, and then it becomes a really elongated stitch. And I can just imagine that once this is blocked out and you wear it, it just looks so cool. I'm so excited. I believe there's also like an eyelet detail on the neck, and then that open edge stitching on the sleeves, like little cap sleeves. I love a V-neck. V-necks to me are, again, they kind of taper and give me the illusion of having a less square broad shoulders and more kind of depth. And when there's skin showing here, I feel like it just kind of creates an illusion of some length rather than just width. So there's my, trying to use the pattern to elongate the silhouette. Anyway, and after you do that very beautiful, simple detail, it's stockinette in the body until you split for the front and the back. So I really haven't been, I worked a lot on this. I don't remember the day I cast this on, maybe last Saturday or something like that. I've knitted on it some, but not a ton. It's my project that I will be taking on the go when I leave the house, because it is mindless stockinette in the round, and that's just an absolutely perfect project on the go. But it's not like a project I pick up a lot at home, because it is almost too mindless for me. I usually need something just a little more stimulating. I don't know if you're that way. I find that there's a nice balance. Like I just finished that color work project, which I'm pointing at because have I woven in any ends? I have not, because there are so many ends to weave, and you know what? Who cares if they don't get woven in? I'm like, I would wear it and they'd be inside and no one would be the wiser. But my point was going from color work to something simple, it felt right. That was a worsted weight project and this is fingering. I just like kind of feeling like I can swing back and forth between different options in knitting to keep it kind of fresh and keep my mind occupied. So not much to say there. That's that. Okay, so I was knitting on that on Mother's Day, and I had one of the lovely gifts that my family gave me which I asked for, borderline demanded that I not step foot in the kitchen in the morning, or preferably all day. We didn't make it quite there, but in the morning, my husband and my daughter made me breakfast, which was so lovely, and I just sat and knit, and I actually also watched a knitting podcast. And I know this might be surprising, but I don't watch a lot of knitting podcasts, you guys. I really don't. I really find that I'm more of a listener than I am a watcher. I'm kind of a busybody. I'm always like, I'll knit for 10 minutes and then I'll get up and do something else. And I'll knit for 10 minutes and I'll get up and do something else. So I think that's why I lean towards just the audio format for things, because I can just grab my phone and walk around and do whatever I need to do, and whatever I'm listening to continues on. Whereas it's a little more complicated when you've got a video going. But once in a while, since I knew I was gifting myself the morning of sitting still as I can be, I was watching a knitting podcast, and it is a podcaster that is undoubtedly on your radar because she has been around for a good amount of time, I'm certain. I don't know how long, but it's Casey from Young Folk Knits, and I love her. She is the most adorable human being. I love her so much. She is just this like joyful spirit that just radiates from her. And it's so authentic, and she never comes across as contrived in any way. She's just so darling. I'm obsessed with her. Like, I want to be her friend. I'm sure everybody wants to be her friend, but I want to be her friend. Anyway, so I was watching one of her older podcasts about, I think it was like 10 shawls and cowls that either she had made or were on her radar. And I don't know why I was watching it. It just was like suggested. So I just clicked it, and it made me inspired to knit a shawl. And I have not felt that in a long time. And I think it's because, I started out knitting. I made the Stephen West bubble cowl that was my first thing I knit. And then I segued into knitting shawls because I was intimidated by the shaping a garment would take. So I just kind of stuck with shawls. So I ended up having a lot of shawls. I gifted a lot of shawls. I made a bunch. And I kind of then, once I was brave enough to try garment knitting, completely fell in love with it. And it just felt like magic to be able to knit a sweater. So I just went down that rabbit hole hard and knit a ton of garments. And I was just kind of like, I'm done with shawl knitting. I'm not going to knit shawls anymore. Like, it's just a more difficult piece to style or wear because it's not secure. Like, this sweater is not going to just fall off if I go start cooking dinner. But a shawl, it's like you're tucking and you're trying to get it to stay, and then you can't lift your arms the right way because, the shawl's there. And I don't wear them around my neck. I've told you that. It makes me look like a hobbit, and that is not a look that I'm going for. Anyway, but I just got the shawl bug. Okay, that was the point of the Casey story. And then I opened up my email, and one of my local yarn shops, Lula Fay Fiber, is not the best name. It's just such a good name. She had sent out an email about the shop update kind of stuff. And in that email, she had said they had in stock some kits for this shawl that I had seen in their shops a couple of months ago and completely fallen in love with. I mean, I was smitten by this shawl. It just had a vibe, y'all. Like, it had this, like, I can't describe it, so I will just continue the story. I fell in love with that shawl a couple months ago, but I had enough self-control not to cast it on because I wasn't in a shawl phase. But that Mother's Day morning, the Casey Young Folk Knits Shawl Pod combined with the Lulafe fiber, we have these shawl kits in stock. I just couldn't resist, you guys. I couldn't resist. And I think it's going to be my new tradition, a Mother's Day purchase and cast on, because y'all, it was really good. It was just so special and perfect and indulgent to just just completely driven by, passion for this project to go there, buy it, and cast it on. Literally went to the store with my daughter. It's in downtown Boulder, so it's like a 20-minute drive for me. Found parking, which was a coup. And the lady working there, I think her name is Jennifer, she was so sweet. So they had 2 kits. The kits were made by 6 and 7 Fiber, which I had never knit with. And I want to say she's in Colorado, but I'm not quite sure. So there were 2 kits that were similar. It is you use 3 colors for this shawl. I'm going to put a picture up now, so the suspense is over. It is an Isabel Kramer shawl. Do you see? I'm like so disorganized today. You'd think I would lead with who and what the shawl is called. Isabel Kramer. I'm going to make annoying crinkly sounds. The name is A Girl's Best Friend Shawl. That's the name of the pattern. Don't love that name. I'm not sure why. Like, this doesn't seem reflective of the shawl to me, but whatever. It's a designer's choice. She had 6 and 7 Fiber did 2 colorway kits, which it was fascinating to me because I'm thinking, like, if you were going to do 2 colorway kits for a shawl, they would be very different. Like, for instance, the sample was kind of a dusty rose, variegated dusty rose, a variegated silvery taupey silver, and a kind of a rich gold. So if I would have thought then the other option would have been like blues and greens and a black or something like that, really different. But instead, it was 2 kits that were really, really similar, like barely tonally different. So one had more variegation in the yarn, one was more solid, one, instead of the silver, there was kind of a more buttercup color. So just similar enough to make the choice almost impossible. So it just took me forever. And that's why I thought Jennifer was so sweet. She was like, let's take all the yarn out and let's wrap the sample around you. And she was so lovely. And I just appreciate people like that so much, especially in a store like that where, it's such a personal choice and it doesn't come quickly. We want to kind of enjoy the mulling. She leaned into the mulling and we finally picked the colors. So the one I picked, again, it was 6 and 7 Fiber. It's their alfalfa base, which is 80% superwash merino, 10 cashmere, 10 nylon. And it is 382 yards for 100 grams of fingering. So it's a little bit different. For instance, here. Oh, sorry. I knocked y'all around. How rude. Okay, you're all right. Okay. So linen quill is technically fingering also, but for 100 grams, you get 438 yards. This is 382. And let me tell you, y'all, this is such a different yarn. Like, it's so fun to compare because this is just has this round plumpness that is just absolutely gorgeous. Not only to knit with, but the feel in your hands, and it's just lovely. Like, this is why you explore different dyers and different bases, because there is a universe of difference between one base and another base, even if they're both fingering. Like, this is substantially less yarn than this, but this is like a very thin fingering weight yarn that just knits up very differently. This is just gorgeous, and I am obsessed, okay? I am obsessed. This, and I also love the names of her colorways. This is Oak, and I just think it is so beautiful. It has such a rich gold. It's just stunning. Honestly, it was this color that sold me on this kit, because there's just a richness, and I think it goes really well with my skin tone. This one is called Three Kisses, which I don't know why I just love. I love, love, love this color. I would put this in the Gravender category, and y'all know that's one of my favorite colors. It's got a little more mauve, maybe. I don't know. I'm really bad at like picking out the tones, but it's got a silvery base. I don't know. It's just so pretty. So like, look how gorgeous those two colors go together, because this has a lot of warmth, and this is a very cool tone to me. And then the final color is called, oh, again, so beautifully named, Morning Light. And look at that color. I'm showing you this side because there are some very gentle color changes and speckles, not really aggressively speckled at all. And I think it's just such a gorgeous name, because it really feels like Morning Light. It's like this, got a gentle gold vibe going on here. So I'm going to try to hold them all up so you can see how they play together. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doop. Isn't it so gorgeous? Ah, I am feeling these colors right now, you guys. It's so, like, here. Oh, I'm going to try not to hit you guys again, make you knock over. Like, this is the Soldotna crop, and like this just goes right there, doesn't it? It's like so in the same color family, and I don't know why this color story is just calling to me, even though it's so very fall compared to spring where we are right now. I don't care. I'm just going with it, man. I'm going with what brings me joy, and this is bringing me endless joy. Endless joy. Here she is right now. I'm so excited because I'm all tangled up. Hold on. I'm going to put the bowl down here. I finished this first section. I started it on Sunday. Today's Friday. I haven't been able to put this down. It has been addicting. It is addicting. Look at that texture, you guys. I mean, I love knitting so much. It's just, it makes me so happy to watch this texture unfold. You know what? I'm showing you the wrong side. Hello. This is the right side. So you've got bands of alternating stockinette, and then the textured bands are actually knit purl. It just creates such an interesting texture. And then it has this beautiful garter border and some eyelets. I don't know that you can quite see it. And this beautiful center ridge. And then you've got, you know, a contrast color band, and then the part of this pattern that is the most appealing to me, I couldn't even quite tell when I looked at the sample if it was like mini honeycomb cables, but they are not. They are like knitting a bunch of stitches into one stitch. And I just completed this row like 15 minutes ago, where you knit a whole bunch of stitches in one, and then I think we're going to decrease them so they become like this little texture. It almost looks like a little bud or something. It's so organic looking. Like, I don't know. It has a beautiful texture, and it's one of those pieces. And let me know if you feel this way too. There's some knits that just do not, their pictures on Ravelry just do not do them justice. And unless you see them in person, you might completely miss out on a knit that you would have, number one, loved knitting, and number two, absolutely loved wearing. And this is one of those knits. Like, if I hadn't seen the actual physical sample in the store, there's no way in hell I would have ever picked this pattern to knit. But the border of this pattern is ribbing, and the contrast between this beautiful, very organic, these different stitch patterns with that ribbing, it just, I don't know, it just works. And I am really, really enjoying shawl knitting right now, which is really strange because it's almost June. But again, the seasons don't have to dictate what we do. You guys convinced me of that when I was asking you if I could make a mohair sweater with 2 strands of mohair held together, and you unanimously said yes. And so I agree. I think you should just knit what you want when you want it. And I can't put this down. So if you have any desire to make this, I highly suggest you do. I accidentally, so in the sample, this deeper brown is meant for the border and these little contrast stripes, but I accidentally switched them and did this buttercup, the, what is it, morning light as the stripe. And so the morning light's gonna be the border. And I hope that pans out in a way I like. And I think it's gonna be a happy accident. A beautiful oops, if you will, if you have children. Do you remember that book? I remember reading that to my children like 7 trillion times because it's such a delightful book if you haven't. Beautiful oops. But of all the colors in this palette, this is my favorite. And this stitch pattern is my favorite in this pattern. So I figured that beautiful oops was for a reason. And I did it because that's just what I wanted. I wanted that stitch pattern to be in my favorite color. So hopefully it all works out, but I don't know how it couldn't. It's so stunning. A girl's best friend, y'all. That's what this shawl is called. I think I'm gonna power through it. I really do. And the fabric is just, I wish you could reach through and touch it because it's so delightful. So I really don't want to work on anything else. I did buy some more yarn. I don't know why I bought all this yarn last weekend, you guys. I feel like it's been 2 or 3 weeks, not 1 week, because a lot of stuff has happened. But if you follow, oh, there's a beautiful blue jay on our bird feeder. I'm so inspired by the birds that come to the feeder and the colors on them. Like, literally, that blue jay looks like he's wearing a shawl. Like an Isabel Kramer shawl. Like that set of colors, like grays and blues and a creamy white would be so pretty in this. Like, if you're drawn to those colors, Sharon, that's you. She loves blues. It would be so pretty. Sharon doesn't need an excuse to cast on. She's a caster honor. Anyway, okay. So that's that. I have to be done in 30 minutes because my son is coming back from a camping trip. And so we have a time limit here today, y'all. The other thing I purchased. Okay, so last Saturday at another one of my local yarn shops, this is why I love living in Boulder. Oh my God, Boulder is like the size of a raindrop, but we have like 5 yarn shops within like a 20-mile radius. And this yarn shop is so close I could walk there. But she had a lady come, and if you follow me on Instagram, I rarely post, but I posted this because it was just, I couldn't not. She had Angora bunnies. Oh my God. If one of my dogs were not a Great Pyrenees who feels like her whole goal in life is to kill bunnies to keep the yard clean, I would get an Angora bunny. Okay, I really would. If I could communicate to you how soft their fiber, I guess on the bunny it's called fur, fiber. Their fur is so soft and they are so cuddly and sweet and darling in their little noses. Oh my God. Go look at the pictures I posted. I'll pop one in here so you can see. So Chewbacca and Princess Leia, those were the 2 bunnies. Princess Leia, her color was just absolutely stunning. Anyway, and there were spinners there that were literally combing the bunnies. carding the fiber and then spinning it right there. It was just a dream. We spent like 2 hours there. So I want to go back and relive that day because it was perfect. Like, talk about a Mother's Day weekend. It was a beautiful Mother's Day weekend. Anyway, I purchased some yarn because they were having a sale of discontinued colors. And you know my new found love for Noro, the yarn company Noro. She had this gorgeous colorway on sale. It is a cotton silk viscose blend. I think that's right. I can't remember. And I have the little label and I forgot to bring it over here. I don't remember what it's called. I don't remember the colorway, but I got enough of this and it's got that gorgeous, typical Noro, like thick, thin. I don't think you can really tell, but I love this fiber. It's very similar to the, in feel to that Kakigori, the very V-neck raglan. That's variegated yarn. It feels a lot like this same, I think, weight. I am going to make, wait for it, the outline raglan by Jessie May, because what can you do, you guys? What can you do? Again, I was so happy that I loved this yarn and I knew what pattern I wanted it for, because I do not like purchasing yarn without an idea of what I'm going to do with it. Even if I don't knit it for a while, I like to have a plan. This color, I think it looks really nice against my skin tone. And I am feeling these more fall rich colors. I don't know why this seems like the right adjective, but I don't know. Like, I'm not feeling neon pops right now. I'm feeling like earthy vibes. So I just fell in love. I literally spent like 2 hours walking around the store. This store, it's Maverick Fiber Arts. I mean, I cannot tell you how much fiber is in there. It's like from head to toe filled with fiber. And it was just, they had so much stuff in there. Thank God my daughter is just like me and could spend the entire day between the bunnies and the fiber. And she loves to needle felt. So they have a ton of needle felting stuff and she got some of that. So we just had a ball, y'all. So this is the color. I really wish, I'll put it in the show notes. I'm being good. I promise. I'm trying to do show notes. I did them last time because I had mentioned so many patterns, I thought. And then one of you asked and I was like, I'm going to have to answer this question like 100 times if I don't do show notes. Are my show notes going to be like Amy Palco's? Oh, hell no, never, ever, ever. But she is a gift unto herself. Okay, boom. That's that. That is, I want to cast this on, but I told you I need a break from sleeves, and I meant it. I ain't doing no sleeves right now. So when I'm returning to sleeves, this will be a great transitional piece because I think they're like 3/4 length sweater sleeves like this, but no desire to do that right now. But when I do, and then like, look at this, y'all. Look how good this looks together. Like this shawl on this. And I really don't have any shawls that aren't. I'm trying to think. All my shawls are really like colorful and bright. So I'm looking forward to a shawl that's a little bit more neutral. Okay. I feel like I've been talking a million miles an hour. Normally, like, I have notes and like I know what I'm going to talk about, but today it was like now or never, and I did not have time to get my life together. So my life is decidedly not together. So what else was I going to talk about? Okay, let's do, first, I have to tell you about my Mother's Day. I told you some of my Mother's Day. I think this was the best Mother's Day I've ever had. And I think it's for a few reasons. Number one, my children are not young anymore. Like, they're still young. My daughter's 9 and my son is 13. But they're like the age that they understand what appreciation is. Like, it's not like, I think it's finally clicked how much I do for them, and they do really appreciate me. So they wanted to make it a good day. And I think that's incredible. I remember like when my kids were really little, just being like, can we just pretend it's not Mother's Day? Because I feel like every time we say it's Mother's Day, they act worse than they normally do. And it's like the worst day ever. So I am so happy I'm not in that phase anymore. If you are in that phase, I promise it gets better. Don't lose hope, because this was really, really a good Mother's Day. My daughter is just the most loving and sweet and giving person I've ever met, like really and truly. She is a giver. Like, I don't know, she's an incredible human. So she's always a giver, but my son is more of a taker. Love that boy to pieces. Like, the worst thing about Mother's Day is that the next day he had to leave for another school trip. So he's been gone all week. But look, aren't you proud of me? I am not actively crying right now. It's incredible. Also, in about 15 minutes, I have to go pick him up. So I'm really excited to see him. But it was the first year, y'all, this is a huge milestone. Like, Dear Diary, remember this day. He bought me a Mother's Day gift with his own money that he earned with a job, which he does not like to spend because he knows now how hard it is to earn money, and of his own volition. Like, my husband did not tell him to do this. And as he told me, he even paid for expedited shipping. I thought that was so cute and funny. Anyway, and it was like a spot on gift, which was just, it just lands when anyone gives you a gift that it's not even about the gift. It just shows you that they know you really well. And this was that, okay? So I'm gonna show you. We know I love my enamel pins. Like, we're starting to run out of room. We've already gone to a few different places to put enamel pins because I have so many. But he got me 3 enamel pins, and it's just, okay. So he got me this one, which I just love to no end. It is a cactus, and it says, "Don't be a prick." Number one, I love puns. I'm a very punny gal. Number 2, we both share that sense of humor, and we can be pricks. So I really appreciated it. And I had this one already, which is one of my favorites. It says, "Leave me alone," and it's a very grumpy leaf, which there are days where I just want to point to this. When anyone walks in the room, I'm like, don't talk to me. Leave me alone. And then he got me this. This has a backstory. This pig, it's a leggy pig. We have a dog, the Snorer. Her name is Danny. We call her Poglet because she's like a mix between a piglet and a dog. So we call her Poglet. And when we got her, the breeder was like, oh, she's all legs. Someday she'll grow into her body. And we looked at her like, she's all legs. She's like a walking, she's just like a blubber sack. So we always joke, oh, Danny's all legs. So he got me this leggy pig, which is hilarious. And then the last little enamel pin I put on this gorgeous pouch. This is my supplemental knitting pouch where I have like other knitting tools that I don't use all the time, but like I would take this if I was gonna be out in the world knitting. Look at this hummingbird, y'all. Isn't it stunning? And it fits into this vibe so beautifully, like it's meant to be there. And it's sparkly and gorgeous. And he said that this hummingbird made him think of me, which I was just like, that's my boy, y'all. That's my boy. And then I put a couple other pins on here. So yeah, it was just the best Mother's Day. And I have to show you this other pin that my friend Julie got for me. It's this one. It says, "Go away, I'm knitting." And it's this darling cat in a basket. And obsessed. Obsessed. If y'all don't obsess over enamel pins, let's get it going, y'all. We need to all be on the enamel pin bandwagon. I know Glam, Michelle is on the enamel pin bandwagon because she told me so. Okay, so my Mother's Day was a sparkly, magical day. I got a cast on, which I swear I'm going to do every year. It was so good. I know some people do that is like Betwixtmas, right? Or am I making that up? the like day after Christmas and then you do something. I don't know. That I don't want to commit to like the timeline. There's that special magic of the beginning. We've talked about this, and I really wanted the special magic of the beginning. And I got it. Okay, I have other things to tell you, so I have to move quickly because I really do have to go in a second. Okay, so my kid's school is out next Wednesday. Oh, I'm terrified. I'm really scared. Like, I am a routine person. I like to know, like, every day should be the same. That would make me inordinately happy. Like, I just do not like surprises. I like predictability. And when your kids aren't in school, you got to say bye to all that. There is no predictability. There is no schedule. If you are a full-time mom, which I am, anyway, if you know, you know. So, a little bit terrified. Say a prayer for me next Wednesday. But one of the camps my daughter's doing is a sewing camp. There is a new sewing store in Boulder called, wait for it, Sobo. So Boulder is kind of split into different areas, and people say Nobo for North Boulder and Sobo for South Boulder. And this store is in South Boulder, and it's called Sobo, S-E-W-B-O. Again, punny me up. Anyway, so my daughter is going to take a sewing camp there. I have tried to sew in the past. I have taken like a month-long, sewing class. I think this was like 8 years ago. I took a sewing class that was like 4 hours every Saturday for a month. It did not take, okay? It did not take. And I was very discouraged. I really wanted to learn to sew, and it just didn't take. And my mom had given me this incredible sewing machine, so I had this machine. Didn't take. Fast forward to now, when I have fallen so deeply in love with knitting, which is, again, something that I had had several false starts on before it really clicked. And it just made me think, like, okay, so just because that sewing class didn't take at that time doesn't mean at a different time with a different set of circumstances, it won't take. So because my daughter's taking this class, I figured it would be very helpful for me to at least know the basics of being able to use the sewing machine. And what I loved about Sobo, this new studio, was it's not a month-long, 4 hours every Saturday commitment. She just had like a sewing 101 for 2 hours on a Friday. So I signed up for it, and it was today, and it was everything I could have hoped for and more. It was so perfect. You know how some people are just born teachers? Jordan of Sobo is a born teacher. She just made it so easy. I was like, why was I intimidated, and why did this not click before? She made it so easy. And I actually made something. Do you want to see? I have it right here, and it is, I am so proud of this and so excited. And I'm going to show it to you before my daughter gets home, because she is going to steal this, I have no doubt, and stuff a bunch of baby stuffed animals in it. Look at this cute little pouch, and it's reversible, so it has lining, and I got to pick the fabric, and I made these cute little corners. I'm so proud of myself. I have to say that. I didn't think I would be able to make this. And like, look, I'm putting yarn in this. Like, what a useful little basket. A home sewn basket full of yarn. If you've ever wondered what makes me happy, this makes me happy. So I am absolutely over the moon. I signed up for next Friday's class also, which is the 102 or 201 or whatever, the follow-up, where you kind of dive a little bit deeper, make another little project. And I am diving down this rabbit hole, you guys. I am officially going to give sewing a real try, and I am so jazzed about it. the joy that knitting my garments has brought me, and the difference in how I feel when I wear something I've made, it has been motivation to learn to sew, because let's get real, like there are some limitations to knitted garments. Like, first of all, like I'm not going to be able to knit. I know Stephen West has a leggings pattern, but like I actually, since I teach fitness, I wear leggings and work out a lot. Like I'm not going to knit leggings or pants or a dress. I really don't think I want to knit a dress anytime soon. But with sewing, it just gives you another tool to build your own wardrobe. And like this whole Me Made May thing, just when I see everything on Instagram, I'm just so inspired. And I just want to be able to make my own clothes. Like ever since I started really knitting, I wear like 1% of the things in my closet that aren't handmade. And the biggest dream to me would be to completely get rid of all those clothes and just sew my own clothes. Even if that was like, that meant I had 10 garments in my closet that were on heavy rotation. Like, I think that would be the biggest dream. I don't know why. Like, I've been thinking about it a lot. Like, why does it give me that sparkly feeling? And I think it's because when we make things ourselves, it's just like this rejection of, I don't know, just the constant consumerism of fashion, the fashion industry, and the cheapness of it, in terms of like, yeah, you could go to Target and buy a $20 dress that's really nice and that like feels lovely and is enjoyable, but like the experience of living your life in that dress is so wholly different than the experience of living your life in a dress that you made yourself. And I just want my life, the closer it can get to, the slower it can get, the closer it can get to my hands, to picking out. That's why like when you meet a sheep or an alpaca and then you get to buy the fiber that came off of that animal, that's even more special, that garment. It's just, the closer you get to, I don't know if the right word is earth, or I don't know, just the way like things are slower in that way, that there's the mindfulness that comes from picking things out. And then we look at the world differently. Just like if you bought a bag of carrots versus pulled a bunch of carrots out of the ground of your yard, that experience is so different. I don't know. I don't think I'm being super clear with my thoughts, but it's just been what I've been thinking about. And when I meet someone like Jordan from Sobo, I just feel so grateful to have all these makers that have been brave enough to open shops and spaces for other makers to gather and learn. And I get just really emotional at that. Like she's just so lovely, and I just want to be friends with her. She's rad, man. So rad. And I don't know, I'm filled with joy today. It rained again all week. I get my boy back. I made my first sewing project that I'm so proud of. And it's like, these fabrics just make my heart happy. It's just been a really good week. I'm really excited for the future of like learning something new. I just cannot tell you how I just felt ready to feel like a beginner again, because I've gotten to the point with knitting that I'm really confident. Like I especially after the colorwork sweater, I felt so boosted in my confidence with knitting, and I felt like I'm ready to be a beginner again. I'm ready to see it with fresh eyes and like start from ground zero and see where the journey takes me. And I'm really, really excited. So I promise I will still knit. Like, knitting is my love language, seriously, my love language. But I am excited to branch out and try new things and see what happens, and like really see how they come together. Like, okay, I have like 2 more minutes, so I'm gonna wrap it up. But last thing, like on one of the mannequins in the store, she had this dress that it's been like my kind of aspirational dress that's motivating me, like to learn. That's what I really want to make. Like that's my goal to work towards, building my skills towards the dress. It's by the company So Liberated, SEW Liberated. Meg, who is also a knitter. I know I discovered her because Andrea Mowry talks about her a lot. And it's one of her patterns. It's the metamorphic dress. And they had it on a mannequin and they had styled it with a cowl, a hand sewn cowl. But I just thought, like, how fun would it be to have this dress and then have like a shawl that you wear with it, and just the coming together of these two beautiful, you know, skill sets of sewing and knitting. And I feel like there's just no end to the joys there are for making. And if you're a maker, you get it. Like, I think that's the label that fits me above everything other than mother, is maker. Because when I'm making, whether it's like cooking or baking or now sewing, it's just, I don't know. That's where I feel like the most alive and the most present. And exercising. I think I feel really present when I'm exercising and like my best self. So anyway, okay, y'all, I have to go retrieve my dearest firstborn, who I feel like I'm going to tackle him and just throw him onto the ground and kiss him till his face falls off, and in front of all his little middle school friends, and I don't care. I've just missed him so much. There's just not a moment that hasn't felt a little weird. Now I'm gonna start crying. So let's wrap it up before I start crying. And maybe I can skip the crying and just go get him and not talk about it. Okay, you guys, I just adore you. I didn't even get to talk about the knit along that we talked about last time, but I really appreciate all your enthusiasm. We're gonna do it. The knit your word, knit along. I think that's what we're gonna do, the hashtag. Thank you to those of you who suggested it. More on that next time, okay? And I'll put some stuff about it in the show notes. For now, I bid you goodbye, and I hope you have a lovely making-filled weekend, and I will see you soon, okay? Bye.